And one of the things that I want to say is we do not have a revenue problem in Ontario. We have a spending problem. In 2003, when Dalton McGuinty was elected, our provincial revenue was $64 billion. Today, it's $114 billion. It's the fact that our spending has gone up so much. When you look at the private sector, they struggled to increase businesses by 10% over those last 8 years, yet the government increased 80%. So we don't have a spending problem, we don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. The money is there to pay for these things.
I want to get you on health and education. You said basically other than health and education, you're going to look at everything. Well,
yes.
If you look at the numbers, all these other departments are going to see decreases just by nature of your plan.
Yes.
The importance of health and education if your government's elected.
Health is our absolute #1 spending priority. There's no question, and that's why we will be adding $6 billion to health spending by our year 4. We just feel that it's absolutely the #1 spending priority. Our #2 spending priority, closely followed, is education. That's why we want to add $2 billion by year 4 into education spending. That's why we want to add the 60,000 university and college positions. We want to lower the threshold so middle-class families can afford university and college. We believe that we need to implement all-day kindergarten, but really what we want to leave is the teachers to make their own decisions in the classrooms. If they want to ban cell phones, if they want to provide marks, if they want to control bullying, it should be up to the teachers. It shouldn't be up to the government to tell the teachers. We think they know what's best for the classroom.
The government's already come out, the Premier's come out several times and said, how are you going to pay for all this? I'm sure the current MPP said, how are you going to pay for all this? Are these numbers going to, and I know your document's saying the deficit's going to be gone by what, 2017?
Yes.
Tell people how you're going to pay for these increases in health and education, giving people tax breaks, that kind of thing.
First of all, the $6 billion is costed in either government's plan already. So that is already covered in, no matter which government gets in, that aspect has been covered. What we're saying is the 2% reduction across the board, and that's the bureaucracy that we're talking about. We believe that there's 2 cents to find out of every single dollar that's spent in government. We believe that is, although it may be difficult to find, we believe it's there. We believe that is not something that we cannot overcome. And that 2 cents out of every dollar, by not filling vacant positions and rooting out waste, to be quite frank, is something that is attainable.
So how do you guarantee that firefighters for the MNR aren't cut versus a bureaucrat? How are you going to do that?
Because what we are saying is we're going to look for the 2 cents. We believe that it's low-hanging fruit. We don't have to do anything other than go after what I call the low-hanging fruit. 2 cents on a dollar, it doesn't give you any kind of cuts other than not replacing bureaucrats who are retiring. And we believe that that's attainable. We're going to start with our own cabinet, for instance. We're going to reduce the size of cabinet and the cabinet bureaucracy by 20%. That's a serious step forward and a serious signal that we want to reduce the size of bureaucracy and primarily waste. $300 million on the LINs, $300 million that's been spent on the OPA. Those are the kind of examples. It's the agencies, boards, and commissions. That's the area that we feel there's low-hanging fruit. It's easy to pick that.
The gas tax revenue is really interesting because you're really saying 2 things here. You're saying people like Echo Maine are going to get some of that money, but you're also saying the City of North Bay, who maybe you don't want to build more transit buses. You're saying, City of North Bay, here's your money. Spend it as you wish.
What we're saying is, you know the best way to spend that money. Now, while I was mayor of the City of North Bay, we instituted a plan to buy 2 buses a year. When you just do the math and you look at 2 buses a year, 12 years is the optimal time to keep a bus, and there's 24 buses. They will continue that plan of 2 buses a year. The money's there. The money was also there in the plan for operation expenses. But what happened is, to use the City of North Bay as an example, the example that I brought to Queen's Park for our caucus meetings to implement this was where the city received $1.5 million a year. $500,000 was spent on buses, $500,000 was spent on operation, and the other $500,000 had to go into a reserve because under the current rules it was not allowed to spend it on anything else. And so this change is not going to cost the government a penny, but it's going to save the local taxpayers a lot of money, because that money that they were locked into putting in a reserve they can now use on roads, bridges, or in operation of transit. So it's a pretty big change that you're going to hear great things from them. They're going to be so pleased with this.
So just back to your time as mayor, were there a situation where you got gas tax money and you said, you know, there's something we should be spending it on this, but we can't because of the rules?
Every day, you know, from the moment gas tax was instituted, we brought this to Queen's Park. Right from day one, they said, whoa, first of all, thank you, it's a nice plan, but it's not a great plan. Here's how to make it a great plan. And for all the years the gas tax was there, 5 or so years, I lobbied day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year for what we've got in shape. Let the municipality decide what's best for it. And let's be fair to the region. For East Ferris and Callander and Mattawa and Powassan and Chisholm and Bonfield that don't have transit, they were shut out of the money. Today they get the money when we're elected.
Is there any relief at the gas pumps for Ontarians then, or are you keeping it at the level that it is?
Our relief here is all about the families with their hydro bill. That's the way we feel that we can bring relief, by taking $275 off their hydro bill, their natural gas bill, and the debt retirement charge. That's going to be our area of focus, plus the income tax, plus the income sharing. That $1,009 for an average family is what our plan will contribute to the pocketbooks of the families of Ontarians.
And I do hear families. What relief is there for single income people? What are you doing for them?
The single also will, we say families is how you view a family. In fact, a single person will find $1,400 of relief from the 5% tax back and the income sharing plan. That's serious money. Seniors, singles, we define families as whatever you're comfortable with calling your own family. And sometimes it's a single person, sometimes it's a single mother, and sometimes it's seniors. But families are families to us.